In today's video, we're going over the top 10 DLC ideas for Tears of the Kingdom as suggested by you. I recently uploaded a video about what to expect when Nintendo announces the DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, and I asked you guys what you're hoping makes it into the DLC, and boy did you come up with some good ideas. I went through the comments and I picked out 10 ideas that I loved and created this top 10 list. Let me know your thoughts on the ideas coming up in the comments down below. And a quick note, there could be some possible spoilers for the game, so if you want to avoid any spoilers, maybe come back at a later time. That said, let's just jump into it. Post-game DLC. This idea would be a change from the traditional Zelda formula, and I feel like it would be a welcome one. In Zelda games, when you beat the final boss and then reload the game, the story of the game picks up right before that final boss battle. You never get to beat the boss and continue playing the game after the boss is defeated. It's always still there for you to go back and beat it again. However, many of you commented on the idea of a post-game DLC and what that could look like. Maybe it's an effort to rebuild Hyrule because, think about it, will we ever be in this world again when the next game comes out? Or will they start from scratch with a new map? I think the new map is more likely, so it would be amazing to see some post-game DLC content where you can rebuild Hyrule. Maybe it will be based on each region of the game where you have to rid the area of the remaining monsters after Ganondorf and gather the appropriate materials to rebuild Hyrule. Then you can see each region be built back to how it normally is. And to finish it off, maybe you get that cutscene where you get to go back to your house with Zelda and then finally be able to take a rest. I think this would be a cool idea, but given Nintendo's track record with this, I'd put this one in the unlikely to happen category. I don't foresee them breaking this tradition, but who knows? They threw out the old formula before. Playable Zelda.
We've been descending for a while now. These tunnels are deeper than I thought. What could be down here?
Having Zelda as a playable character has been an idea from the community for a long time, and it would be a breath of fresh air. Rumors and hype surrounded Zelda as a playable character in Tears of the Kingdom back in 2019 when we got our first look of the announcement of the game and everyone saw Zelda's new haircut. And when I posed the question for potential DLC ideas, a playable Zelda was a common suggestion. This could be possible if a post-game DLC were to happen and you can play as Zelda to help Link in the quest to rebuild Hyrule. Or, playable Zelda could be a thing if we were transported back in time and played through her quest from when she was transported back to the era of Hyrule's founding. Both of these ideas could be really cool, but much like number 10 on this list, I'd also put this one in the unlikely category. At least until the next Hyrule Warriors game comes out, where we somehow play the imprisoning war. Teriko could possibly make a return as well, except maybe it would be a baby construct instead? Sheikah, Slate, and runes. Is it just me, or does anyone else miss wind bombing across Hyrule? Or at least trying to. A common theme in the comments was people really wanted bomb runes and stasis back in the game, and I think they could easily be added to the Pro Pad if Nintendo decided to go this route. The only rune that seems to be out of place is Magnesis, because Ultra Hand is simply an improved Magnesis ability, so maybe the bomb runes, stasis, and Cryonis make a return to the game. And please, Nintendo, don't fix the wind bomb glitch. It was arguably the best part of Breath of the Wild. Casts. Do I need to say more? No, but I will. Our favorite bird from Breath of the Wild seems to be missing from Tears of the Kingdom. You know what else seems to be missing from the game? The Sheikah technology, old shrines, and the divine beasts. There doesn't seem to be an explanation in the game as to why these have disappeared, unless there's some hidden NPC no one has found yet that provides the explanation. Or maybe that NPC is Cass, who returns in the DLC after investigating the disappearance of the divine beasts. In my previous video, I mentioned the DLC will likely be in two parts, and the final part will probably be the big portion with the additional story and boss fight, similar to Breath of the Wild. Well, this could be it. Maybe we need to uncover the divine beasts and use them in the final boss battle with another Zelda villain. Maybe the boss's demise from Skyward Sword. His essence could have escaped from the Master Sword when it broke at the beginning of the game. Many people thought this was probably the case for the villain for Tears of the Kingdom overall, but maybe just make him part of the DLC final boss. Or maybe Cass returns to simply play us his music. Either way, I'd pencil in Cass as likely returning in the DLC. New armor and weapons. Who wouldn't love more armor and weapon variety in the game? The fusibility does grant us with so much diversity for our weapons and arrows, but let's take it a step further. Let's have elemental bows, so the arrows that are shot out of the bow will have the effect of the arrows such as fire, ice, electric, poison, more. Or maybe the fusibility can be used to create so many different kinds of armor. Some of the bokoblins are running around with stone armor. Maybe we can fuse rocks to our armor to create new armor for added defense. That's definitely something I need. Maybe the armor breaks after getting hit so much, or maybe it can be a permanent look and we'll all go armor collecting, but the one armor I'd love to see make it to the game is dragon scale armor. This is an armor set that is popular amongst other video games, and it's about time we bring it to Zelda. Imagine being able to wear the scales of the dragons, whether it's by fusing it to your existing armor, or maybe it's a quest where it's able to be created with the right materials. One way or another, additional armor and weapons will certainly be a welcomed addition for the game, and some form of additional armor and weapons are highly likely to be added with the DLC. Additional Sky Islands. The sky for Tears of the Kingdom was heavily marketed before the game's release, and everyone was excited to explore the islands that we could see floating in the sky. Now that we're here, it seems a little bare in the sky. It's certainly not the worst, but there is a lot of open space to add additional Sky Islands. Now there could be a handful of side quests that could be available on the Sky Islands that they would add. Maybe some versions of some old mini-games or side quests from Skyward Sword could be added too. There are a lot of ideas Nintendo could work with when adding additional Sky Islands, and I'd bet it's nearly a lock for additional islands to be added to the game. Underwater Exploration. Before we knew about the depths, the community was clamoring for underwater exploration. Let's face it, the swimming in this game is subpar at best, with only a little boost in swim speed with certain items. Nintendo doesn't really need to add much when it comes to underwater exploration, even though they could add more caves to collect more of the Booble Frog gems, but this idea could line up with more armor sets that could provide with underwater exploration. We already have the stamina gauge that can be used to hold your breath. Maybe it can drain at a different rate than running, if that makes sense. Either way, we're able to explore the skies, the land, and even hell? Underwater exploration isn't new to the Zelda franchise, and it would be amazing for it to make a comeback into the game. Let's just also reintroduce the Iron Boost to help us get to the bottom of the lake quicker. Additional movesets. Now, I want to take a moment here to mention that I haven't beaten Tears of the Kingdom yet. I'm really taking my time. But the term commented a lot was additional movesets. The word additional implies that there is at least one moveset that Link learns in this game. I'm still going through my playthrough live on my channel, which, by the way, stop by a live stream if you're interested. Slash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a stream. So I'm prefacing with this, that I haven't beaten the game yet, and I am not doing any research on this to avoid spoilers. I don't know how many moves Link learns or what the moves do. For all I know, he cooks food upside down now. That said, this is one of my favorite ideas. In Twilight Princess, you meet the hero's Shade, who teaches you 7 hidden skills that you can use throughout the game. It made the game a lot more fun, and you had to strategize how to beat some enemies when using certain moves. I'd love it if you could prompt Link at certain points in a fight to implement a fighting technique. It doesn't have to be limited to sword combat either. Maybe it involves the bow, or even the sage abilities. There can be so many cool ideas added here, and I do think at least one more moveset does get added to the game. It may be something basic, but either way, this is probably my favorite idea recommended for the DLC. Dark Nut. Without a doubt, Dark Nuts are one of the Zelda fanbase's favorite enemies of the entire franchise. There's just something about fighting these guys that make the game so much more fun. They initially move slow with their heavy armor, and they pack a pretty big punch, or swing. As you chop away their armor, they move faster, making them even more deadly. These foes would fit perfectly in a new dungeon that we could potentially receive as part of the DLC. And like in Twilight Princess, maybe we'd have to use some of our new movesets to help defeat these guys. Enemy variety was one of the few complaints about Breath of the Wild, and Nintendo did tackle this complaint by adding more variety in Tears of the Kingdom, but adding Dark Nuts to the game will no doubt be a move that the fanbase would thoroughly enjoy. And finally, number 1. Hero's Path Mode. This was by far the most commented feature of the game. Like, by a lot. And I get why. This is peak gameplay. I'm kidding. I have to take a moment to poke fun at myself before revealing the true number one of this video. For those who didn't see my last video, I mentioned that Hero's Path mode would be a good addition for the DLC, like in Breath of the Wild, and boy did my comment section let me know it's already in the game. I hadn't reached that part of the game yet, and I did minimal research to avoid spoilers since I haven't beaten the game, which created this hilarious moment. So, this gets an honorable mention in the video, or dishonorable mention. Now, onto the true number one. Dark Link. Another fan favorite, and personally, my favorite enemy in all of Zelda, Dark Link. Could you imagine the possibilities Nintendo has with adding Dark Link? For those who don't know, in Ocarina of Time, Dark Link is a mini-boss in the Water Temple, and he is no slouch. He copies your moves when you swing your sword, and will even jump on it. But adding Dark Link to Tears of the Kingdom, I say give him everything we have. All the materials, hearts, stamina, armor upgrades, weapons, bows, everything. And have him mimic our moves across the board with these weapons. At least some of the time, and maybe he can use everything on his own accord too, but imagine how fun that battle will be. And it can fit into a cool story too. Maybe our goal is to obtain the ability to use Raru's light power with his tier. But in order to do so, we have to defeat the darkness within, which could be Dark Link. Heck, put him at the end of the DLC dungeon we could get, which would make the battle so much more fulfilling. And like Monk Maz Koshia from Breath of the Wild, I think we should have the ability to fight him at any time. Dark Link is without a doubt number one on my wishlist for Tears of the Kingdom DLC. What's yours? Do you agree with Dark Link at number one, or think something else should be here? Let me know in the comments section down below. Also, slash that subscribe button if you're interested in more content like this. I'm also live streaming my playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom on my channel, so turn on notifications if that's something you'd be interested in watching as well. Hope to see you on the next video, and thanks for watching.